Hi there. Welcome to First in Fiction, your first stop for learning to write fantastic fiction. I am your moderator and producer, Molly Jo Riley, author of the romantic mystery location novel Nola. Tonight's topic is cataloging inspiration and ideas. And our host tonight is Aaron Gansky and Tessa Emily Hall. Aaron, introduce thyself.
Thyself. Do I need to introduce myself via King James Version? Greetings.
Yes, please. Do it.
Thusly, I have written novels of the reading pleasure variety of
Yes, you sort of suck
fiction,
at this, but keep
contemporary.
trying.
What accent is that?
3 shall be the number of the counting, and the number of the counting shall be 3. Yes, I've written lots of books. Contemporary suspense, YA fantasy is what I've been writing lately. So good stuff. Yeah. Hi, Tessa.
Hi, I'm Tessa Emily Hall, and I write.
You have to do it with the accent.
Wait, what?
Never mind.
I can't understand you with that accent. I write young adult fiction, contemporary, and devotionals for teenagers, and I work in publishing as well.
Awesome. So we are talking about cataloging ideas and inspiration. Tessa, this was an idea that you had. I believe it was one of the topics that you suggested. Well, what did you have in mind? Like, how do you go about cataloging ideas and inspiration?
Well, the way I do it, I think as writers, we need to always be on the lookout for new story ideas. So instead of just writing 24/7, we need to actually go out and experience life and live a little. And while we are living, we can be observing. And while we're observing, then we can be collecting story ideas and inspiration and setting ideas, and just store all these ideas so that way we can have them handy whenever we are in need of a new book to write, or even if we need some new scene ideas, characters, and setting, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's just important to understand how you can be an observer of life as a writer, as a way to help to feed into your writing.
Yes. I think the best writers are the best observers. We kind of have to be jacks of all trades, so to speak. I guess jacks and Jills of all trades. Whether that's writing or going up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
I see what you did there.
And, like you say, we do have to live life, even though some of us are desperately trying not to and sheltering ourselves and just, living in front of our computers. But we do have to kind of get out and interact with people, as terrifying as that is. If for no other reason than to get, like you say, some character ideas, some setting ideas, some story ideas. And there are a lot of writers that you look at people like Stephen King, and the question that they get asked most often is, how do you come up with your ideas? And I think the best writers all kind of agree, everywhere, literally everywhere and anywhere. We're always asking the question, what if this person would make an interesting character, or this characteristic that I've picked up from this other person might work in this book that I may want to write, or, ooh, that's an interesting dilemma. I wonder how somebody would handle that. Even strange locales and settings. Just driving down the road, I'm asking myself, how would I describe this stretch of highway? These types of questions. And so Tess, I'm imagining you, Molly, kind of in the same boat as me, which is we do have a lot of ideas, sometimes more than we can keep up with. So what do we do with these ideas, especially if you're in the middle of writing a novel or an epic fantasy series? Not that I know anybody doing that. What do you do with all these ideas for all these different books that you want to do? So one thing that I do is I have a document. I just keep a document, and I try to get to it at least every summer, at least once a year. I revisit the document. I kind of take summers to replan what I'm going to be spending my year writing. And so I'll look at that document, look at the ideas that I've had. I add to it throughout the year as ideas come to me. I've got them categorized by genre. And sometimes it's a sentence, sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes it's a page. It depends on how much information I have and how much time I've spent kind of thinking about it. But Molly, what do you do when you have these ideas?
I have little notepads at work, whether it be sticky note or tear off sheets, and I will just write notes and stuff them into my bag. And about once a week I come home and I take all those little pieces of paper out and I read them and I stick them in a desk drawer.
Well,
I mean, that's the first thing that I do. But now, as of late, I have tried to keep an actual notebook with me, like just a little small 5x8 book that I can keep notes in. But I don't categorize them. I don't like Erin, you were saying how you put some for this, classify them in this or that or that. I don't do that. I don't separate them. I don't segregate my thoughts. I just let them all live together happily.
I sort of categorize them. So I use the Notepad app on my phone, whatever it's called, Notes. And I use that for everything. But I have different folders for different things. So I have a folder specifically for book ideas or inspiration. And I just use that anytime that I have any kind of, story spark of an idea, or even if I'm taking notes, if I'm like in a new location, and it sparks like a setting idea or something, then I'll write down a little note about that setting or the sensory details and that sort of thing. And I also keep a whole running list of character names because I love coming across unique character names. And so I just have a running list on my phone whenever I come across unique names, and I'll just go there whenever I'm looking for new names. But yeah, I have so many story ideas or just random bits of inspiration that I've collected through the years, and that I can just go there anytime that I have, if I'm stumbling on as to what I should write or what scene that I should write. I can go there, but it probably would be a good idea to categorize them even further, to say that these are some like scene ideas or setting ideas, and the character names, but even the characterizations. So as you're out, if you're a people watcher, maybe you could go to the mall or to the park and just observe people and just take note of the different characters that you come across and their appearance and also their body language and the way they carry themselves. And you can even get story ideas from conversations that you overhear, or even imagining what this group of people, what their conversation is and that sort of thing. So the purpose is to just treat life like you're a reporter, and just keep your ears and your eyes open to your surroundings, and record it in whatever way that is best for you, whether it's a notepad or on your phone or with little sticky notes and that sort of thing.
It's interesting that you said live life like a reporter, because one of my primary sources of inspiration is a podcast called Radio Lab. And there are several others that they have as well, produced by the same people. And it's fascinating. It ranges from science to history to politics to identity to race to societal norms. They've got one that covers the Supreme Court and different cases that the Supreme Court has ruled on and all that kind of stuff. And it's really fascinating the way they present this information. And it's a wealth of ideas for different characters, character motivations, different conflicts, different story ideas that are kind of strange and unheard of. And they do a really good job of kind of presenting both sides of controversial issues, and not necessarily weighing in with one side or another, or the one host will defend one side, the other host will defend another. But it's pretty fascinating. And so that's, certain podcasts are very good for kind of inspiring, and those you can just keep on your phone. You can put a little star next to them on your favorites. You can keep a spreadsheet with the different titles and links and things of that nature if you want to. So there are different ways to kind of catalog those types of things. But I think being a consumer of media is beneficial, not just, movies, not just television, art, all kinds of art, photography, read poetry, read books, go to movies, go to plays, listen to music. Trying to find a way to become a consumer of art, I think, helps us to become producers of art.
Right. And that's where I get, most of my story ideas is through different, means of art, through photography, through music, and even movies help to inspire new ideas or new setting ideas, even movie trailers. I love whenever I'm just stuck on an idea, I love just to go and look at movie trailers, and it just helps to even overcome writer's block somehow. It just it gets me in the writerly kind of mood and helps me to visualize my own story and that sort of thing. But art's always help. Even going to an art museum, I love doing that. And even going on Pinterest, there's a lot that Pinterest offers, and that's one way that you can categorize your ideas. You can create a Pinterest account and create different boards for your Pinterest that, you can have character ideas for one, and then setting ideas for another, and then like writing prompts for another one that could spark some new story ideas. So that's one way that I sort of do for keeping track of some potential story ideas, and it can really help with writer's block as well.
Yeah, Pinterest is good for that. There are several, I think, different programs that kind of allow something similar. I'm not familiar with all of them, but I will. I'd like to use Scrivener and kind of leverage Scrivener in that regard, because you can import things. I actually, for the series that I'm currently writing, I actually have one project that is nothing but world building. So I've categorized characters, a bunch of different images for artwork, maps, character bios and ideas, histories, religions and pantheons. Since I'm having to kind of world build a whole new world, I'm trying to be as specific and as thorough as possible, which is, kind of a daunting thing. But what I like about Scrivener is its ability to organize all of these things, text, images, etc., into a single project file to where you can kind of find things. Now, you can do it without it, but I just think it's a little bit easier that way, so that I can kind of have that open and reference and have multiple windows open, so I can kind of compare and contrast and do things like that. So that's been something that I've used to kind of help categorize and stay organized when I'm working on things like story Bibles and world building.
Yeah, I love using Scrivener too. And something else too that I think I mentioned in the Writer's Block podcast is that just another way to categorize some of your ideas, you could have 3 different stacks of index cards. On one stack, you can write down some character traits, ideas that you might have, or character names. And then on the other stack of index cards, you can write down setting ideas. And then the other stack of cards, you can write down some plot ideas or specific conflict for a book or something like that. This is something that I do whenever I teach workshops to teenagers. I'll have them, write down some ideas on these index cards, and then we combine 3 different ones. So one index card from each stack. So the character, the setting, and the plot. We combine those to then create a whole new story idea. So as you begin to collect ideas, this is just something that if you do want to categorize it into 3 separate sections, character, plot, and setting, that's one way that you could go about doing it. And that way, whenever you're searching for a new story idea, you can just kind of combine the 3 and come up with a whole new idea. And that can also help to avoid cliches too.
I am slightly in love with that idea.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that with teenagers.
100%. I'm stealing that 100%. And I'm going to say that I came up with the idea on my own.
Oh, that's not
and
nice.
there will be no evidence to prove otherwise.
No, definitely not
That's
you
all
on
the
a live
evidence.
recording saying anything to the nature. Gee, officer,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. You definitely can't go to his website and find evidence to the contrary.
It's like people doing, illegal things and putting it on Facebook. Anyhow, I won't do that. But I do really love that idea. And I've long held and said that one of the ways to come up with ideas is to take two different ideas of, popular books, series, movies, whatever, and put them together. Harry Potter meets Romeo and Juliet, or Romeo and Juliet with fangs is Twilight, or Romeo and Juliet, but with street gangs of New York or whatever. Now we've got West Side Story, or I guess L.A., not New York. I don't even know. I don't.
We'll just go with West Side Story.
Sure,
it's all New York.
The Merchant of Venice with robots is to some extent, The Vision, which I just finished reading with my juniors, which is a great graphic novel. The Vision by Tom King is fantastic. You should read it. But a lot of allusions to Merchant of Venice, and so it's something like that. You can do Lost in Space, Swiss Family Robinson in space, or something like that. And so kind of taking these ideas. So you could do the same thing: character, plot, setting. But you could also put in their genre if you wanted to, or concept, wizarding school,
Right.
hijinks ensues.
And that can also help whenever you come to pitching that book to agents and publishers. That can be the tagline of the book that you use, the hook that you use whenever you send off your query letter, or whatever you have that in your proposal and that sort of thing. Because agents and publishers, they'll love, that's just a way to show that you're targeting these specific readerships and these audiences of these books that are already adored, but that this book is completely fresh and completely new. It just kind of combines the two elements or the two stories. So yeah, that's a great way to come up with, new ideas. And then also it helps when it comes to pitching it too.
Yeah. The Hand of Adonai series I pitched as Tron meets Narnia.
That makes sense. Cool.
Nice, neat, tidy. Tells you pretty much everything that you need to know. And so, so how would you catalog that? Well, you would just take the, different combinations. You find one that's kind of stands out to you. And I think what you'll find is it kind of gets you thinking. It's probably not going to be a complete story idea, but it's like, oh, I can work with this. You can kind of trade the cards out if you need to, but maybe you just paperclip them. And then you kind of paperclip these ideas together, and after shuffling them together, and now we've got several different novel ideas that we can use, or series ideas, etc.
Yeah, and something else that you could do, excuse me, is you can create like a storyboard for your book. So not just for your book, but for story ideas in general. So maybe you could have one board that's specifically for setting ideas or story world ideas, and cut and paste either pictures from the internet or pictures in a magazine. And then you can have another board that's specifically for character ideas, and then another one that can have to do with plot, however you'd go about doing that. But or you could even have a whole board that combines all of that. So you can have character and setting and plot all in one board. And that's just a way for you to, if you're especially a visual writer, then you can go there whenever you need some inspiration for a new book or a new scene or character idea. So
I am envisioning a rather large cork board with all these, 3x5 cards pinned to it.
Sure.
Somebody playing darts.
That would be fun.
There we go. Got it.
That would be a really cool idea, actually.
I'm going to do that with my students.
Yeah, you definitely should. That'd be good for a workshop with teenagers too.
Yeah. I don't think my principal would have a problem with me giving sharp, pointy objects to teenagers.
Yeah,
and then
maybe you want to do Nerf ring darts or something instead.
Or maybe a magnet. Well, you can't, if it's like a magnet that you can throw, like a ball.
Bow and arrows. Let's just go archery with it.
Ooh, there you go. Very old school.
I'm getting a story idea, guys. It's about a high school teacher who got fired.
Yeah.
So, Molly, what is there a program that you use, or are you just kind of a Pinterest person? How do you kind of keep your ideas?
I try to stay away from Pinterest because once I go there, I don't come up for air for hours, and I mean hours. But yeah, Pinterest is good for me to curate ideas. A lot of times I will do, like I said, the little sticky notes and put them into a little like a little note card file, a recipe box, if you will. And sometimes I'll section them by, these are notes for this book or that idea or this kind of characters. I'm kind of freakish in the way that once I write a note, I tend to retain the information without ever having to go back to look at the note. So I know I have a note based on, I wanted to write a devotion on Psalm 34. That note is on a yellow sticky and it's in the bottom of my desk drawer. So I can go find that note. If I don't write it down, 5 minutes later, you'll ask me, what was that great idea I had? And I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So
the act of writing it down helps it to stay in your memory.
It does. But so along with that, when I moved from California out here to South Carolina, I literally had one of those big paper boxes, the office, they used to get 10 reams of office paper in it. And it was just full of so many notes and pieces of paper and little scraps and big notes and notebooks of just everything. So I have methodically taken a stack each month and just kind of been like, okay, don't need that. That's a duplicate. Don't need that. And dwindled it down to a stack that's maybe about this big now, where it used to be this entire box. So that is my filing system, Erin. That doesn't answer anything and causes me more public embarrassment than what I wanted, but thanks.
No, I think there's a high percentage of writers who are still, I don't mean the term derogatorily, but, kind of old school.
Says the man who wanted to throw darts in archery.
Yeah, that's different though. That's just, I like,
because it's you. Yeah.
I like pointy things. So,
okay.
Yeah, but, it really doesn't matter if you're doing it on pen and paper or if you're doing it in actual file folders, or if the lights just randomly turn off in your classroom while you're trying to podcast.
Wow. So Erin's going to run around the room real quick.
I gotta see if I can get it here.
And then he'll come back and we'll remind him of this awkward moment before we remind him that he was trying to talk about stuff. So, hey, there he is. Wow, Erin, that was awkward.
It was a little bit awkward, and that's okay. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace the awkward and say,
okay, do it. Be awkward.
I'm going to cut that out, by the way.
No, you're not. No, you're not. If you can't cut out my awkwardness, you can't cut out your awkwardness.
In all fairness, if I cut out my awkwardness, our podcasts would be 3.4 minutes long. So.
Yeah, because people really watch it for the comic relief.
I'm sure they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else, Tessa? Any more tips and tricks that you have?
I think we covered everything. I think the main thing is just to try different things and see what sticks with you. Whether that is, keeping track of ideas on your phone, or if you are more old school and like to keep it by hand or with notepads or sticky notes, and even having a 3-ring binder, or maybe have some dividers in there where you keep ideas. Just figure out what system works best for you, and just stick with that, whatever it is, and just keep trying to be an observer as you collect inspiration.
I would also like to add that a lot of times I get inspiration from TV and things that I watch on TV, whether it be TV shows or movies, like you were saying, Tess, just the media of watching movies or commercials or whatever. So the beauty now is that people have DVRs that can record a lot. So I have on my DVR I have one in the living room, one in the bedroom, and each one is full of different shows of things that I need for inspiration or I want for inspiration. I'm still recording every episode of NCIS New Orleans, and I don't even want to tell you how many episodes I have on there. But I can tell you that I deleted all the Chicago PD episodes I had off of the bedroom DVR, and my storage went from 98% full down to 13%.
Wow.
So I decided I'm never going to be able to watch all of these episodes while I'm trying to fall asleep. So I deleted it, and hey, my DVR started working better again. But I also keep Hallmark Channel movies on there, little things from the Weather Channel or anything that I find inspirational in my writing, I will record and then save it like a digital file.
And for me, what really helps also, I don't watch many TV shows, but I watch a lot of reality TV shows. So mainly competition kind of shows and those kind of reality shows where you see real people interact with real people. And for some reason, those shows have always given me a lot of character ideas. And it just helps me to, as an observer of, human nature, it helps me to see actual people interact with other people, even though you can do that in real life, of course. But I just love watching reality shows as a way to just come up with more ideas for characters and that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely TV and movies and all that are awesome for trying to find ideas as a writer.
Very cool.
Well said. All right. Well, I think that we've covered what we need to cover. So we do thank you all for listening and watching. If you're looking for us throughout the week, be sure to find Tessa at tessaemilyhall.com and Molly at mollyjoreilly.com, which I got right the first time.
Yay!
Episode we won't talk about last time. We were a little out of practice. And of course,
a little bit.
A little bit. And of course, you can always find me at aarongansky.com. So again, thank you all for listening and watching. And until next time, good writing.